What's up, pals? Today I'm at the Lane Motor Museum, and this museum is unlike a lot of other car museums. This is full of very random, unique, weird, and wonderful cars. Cars that you've probably never seen, never heard of. This is my second trip here, and I can tell you I had a great time my first one. There's a car in particular that really caught my attention to visit this museum on my first trip, which is a gyro car, a self-balancing car. But they also got a lot of other interesting innovations in automobiles in here. It's very historical. They have the cars with the propellers on the front. So from an engineering standpoint, there's a lot of cool stuff too. So I'm going to take you on in and show you around. Really cool race car here, powered by Oldsmobile Aurora V8. Now, if y'all are familiar with the car called the Shelby Series 1, it also was powered by an Oldsmobile Aurora V8. Very cool car, designed by Shelby. This car here, as you can see, a 1999 Dallara, I guess that's how you say it, Truck Nation IRL car. Starting things off with this 1936 Le Carabé, I guess, replica. Very small car. Kind of like the Trident Pill, if you've ever seen a Trident Pill. And look, when you park it, you can stand it up. Now, I was just corrected, it's called the La Carab. Love that shark fin on the back. So here we have the oldest and the newest car in the collection. This one here, a 1909 Renault, which is a French car. And then we have a 2014 Volkswagen, which was kind of a hybrid thing. It was designed to push the limits of how much gas one could get out of a car as far as miles per gallon. And it's very aerodynamic, sleek, made with lightweight materials, has a futuristic space age style to it. And not only is there a lot of cool cars in this museum, but there's also a lot of other cool stuff. Take, for example, these cool planes hanging up from the ceiling. As we can see, that one was an experimental plane. Now, this is a very cool, very old plane, I can tell. Very primitive design. And it's in immaculate shape. And we got an airplane. It looks like it's on bicycle wheels. All kinds of little aircraft planes that you could probably take off on a short strip. Probably hold one or two passengers, and most of these little bitty ones.
In addition to the vehicle at rest, let's look at a number of common conditions the gyroscope will encounter.
The color scheme on this one, red, white, and blue. Now, right behind me is the car that got my attention in the first place when I first came to this museum. It's a 1967 Gyro-X. It's a self-balancing car that uses a gyroscope. And if you ask me, it kind of looks like a Opel GT that's been elongated. Check this cool thing out.
As it was in 1967, it remains a highly complex piece of machinery. While the Gyro-X did prove that a gyroscopically stabilized automobile could work, it would certainly have required a great deal more development before any form of production.
A lot of engineering went into this car.
Were it to be developed,
it's not very practical, but the engineering element and its looks are pretty cool. It's an interesting concept. A little bit of a sporty design, got the Targa top on it. And it's cool that this museum had rescued this car, and they had to get with a yacht manufacturer, I believe it was, to make this gyroscope for it, because when they found the car, it was missing. And it's an integral part of the design of this car. There we have it for the 67 Gyro-X. Here we have a 1969 Subaru 360, and it's a little story behind it, but it's nicknamed Peanut. Wonder if it's something Charlie Brown would drive. Very interesting, very small little car. And look, the gauges are down here in the console area, not where you would normally expect them. But cool little car. It's a little two-cylinder engine. And it's air-cooled two-stroke. Here we have two cars that are basically like old Flintstone mobiles. They are pedal cars. So you steer them like a car, but you pedal them like a bike. Very interesting. Very roomy inside this one. This one here is a wee bit on the small side. So here we have what looks like a car version of the Airstream. It's actually a 1933 Dymaxion replica. It's not the real thing, but a replica, and it's a very nice one. You don't see vehicles on the road designed like this. Kind of reminds me of a thing I seen on Facebook recently, where somebody had took a camper when you tow behind and turned it into an actual vehicle you could drive, and they drag race it and stuff. Very interesting. And here we have a 1969 Fascination, and I can see why they named it that. Check out the rounded exterior, kind of like the Dymaxion, but in a 70s kind of collard green style. Reminds me of those refrigerators back in the 70s that were kind of a greenish color. Here we have a 1961 Futura, but it's not the Lincoln Futura that the Batmobile was based off of. This is its own unique little creation here. And I really dig the white and green colors. Very interesting touch there. And you drive in the center of the car. As you can see, there's no seats on the sides, just one seat in the front. It's almost like a futuristic limousine station wagon kind of deal here. And here's something truly bizarre, weird, wonderful, and random that I just think about seeing it on the road driving down the street. This is a 2019 Hot Wheels toolbox car. Yes, toolbox. I guess it's not a Snap-on brand. If it's a Snap-on brand, nobody could afford it. Maybe Elon Musk could afford it. But anyway, this is really off the charts, odd, wild, crazy, and souped up apparently. I love all the signs on it too, like you would see in a garage mechanic shop. Got some room back there in the back. Not for passengers. The toolbox, I should say, can do some wheel stands with that wheelie bar there. Check out this big spoiler. It's even got a ruler underneath. Very cool, very cool. If you've got a thing for Czechoslovakian cars, check out this collection of Tatras. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Tatras. Pretty cool to see them all here. They've got some interesting designs. If you don't know anything about Tatra, a lot of their cars, I don't know if all their cars, but a lot of them are the air-cooled V8 in the rear. But you don't see V8s that are air-cooled. That's It's an interesting feature. Check out the interior on this 96 Tatra. Very roomy, very plush. And that goes for this 1976 Tatra as well. Here we have this Bugatti Type 13 in the scale for a kid to ride. Very cool. Imagine that as one expensive little car. Here we have something different. No, it's not an Austin Healey bug-eye Sprite like you might think. And it does have Lamborghini doors. It's a 2013 Norster. And it is very unique. But yes, it definitely copies the Austin Healey bug-eye Sprite. A bit more modern on the interior. Neat little car. Never heard of one before, but now I'm seeing one in person. Here we have a 1965 Trident Peel, or Peel Trident. Very cool little vehicle. It is so small you could drive it into the grocery store, drive it down the grocery store aisles, and do your grocery shopping. At least that's what they did on that episode of Top Gear. Well, here's something you wouldn't think of as an off-road vehicle. This little 4x4 here is a Fiat Panda. 1987 vintage. I don't know, maybe it could be a rally car. Some of the rally cars are little hatchback cars. Check out the pattern on those seats. That interior is so 80s. That is as 80s as it gets for car interiors. And here we have a nice little row of two-seater sports cars. And you can tell if the Lamborghini one right there has some back seats in it. But anyway, you're probably familiar with some of these cars. This one here really stands out to me. This 1968 Fiat 850 Spider. And this 1971 Lotus. Now this Lotus here in the back, it kind of reminds me of the old Datsuns from the 70s, but with round lights in the back. And that blue color on this Fiat 850 is beautiful. Now here we have something out of the Jetsons. 1961 Von Dutch rocket car. And this little road rocket here is powered by a Harley Davidson engine. Now check this out. Here is the bicycle portion of the Lane Motor Museum. And you can see they even have a little bicycle camper. So if you want to save on gas, you can go camping with your bicycle. And looks like you got enough room to lay down in there. That's about it. And going through here, some of these bicycles, like this one here, have a motor on them. And look over here. What do we have here? Racing bikes. We have a Lotus bicycle. Yes, a Lotus. And in addition to bicycles, they have a motorcycle area. And mopeds, I should say. Check out this classic right here. 1947 Salisbury. I remember seeing one of them at the Street Rod Nashville back in Louisville, Kentucky, my hometown. Let's speed on over to the end here. The most unusual motorcycle in the exhibit. The 1998 McLean wheel. Look, you ride inside the middle of the wheel. Bet you feel like a hamster driving that thing. And here's another really cool motorcycle I'd like to point out to you because of the engine. This is a 1975 Hercules. And guess what? Just like Mazda, they used a rotary engine in this. This is one of the first motorcycles to use a rotary engine. You can see it. It's a Hercules Wankel. So very cool to see a rotary engine and something other than a Mazda. And right behind me is one of those cars that this museum is famous for, Propeller cars. This is a 1932 Helicron behind me. And let's check it out and let's hear it start up and run. Some of the noise is because we're inside, but again, let's multiply it by 3 cars. On the outside, it may be more than 1 car. So you can start to see the problem. You go, the light turns green, you get the next stop light, and have to go again. Obviously not a very practical car, but an interesting design. Hey, and it's a 2-seater. Take your buddy with you. Go out joyriding. And not only that, it is street legal. You can drive it on the street, but you got to be very careful driving this thing. Obviously there's no guard on the propeller, and I'm sure it makes a very, very big salad shooter. Now anybody that knows me or has been watching me for some time knows that I have a big thing for Pontiacs and Lotuses. And right behind me, they have a Lotus exhibit full of several different types of Lotuses. It really piques my curiosity. Here we have some vintage Lotus Elans. Here's the race car version. And next to it is the street version. Kind you can just get in and drive on the road. Nice Sunday afternoon drive. And next to the Elans is the Elite, and you can see it's a little bit bigger of a car. Still a 2-seater. And this one is a true British car with right-hand drive. And moving on, we have an Elise. This is a Lotus Elise. I have an Elise, but mine's a 2nd generation, whereas this one is a 1st generation Lotus Elise, which the 1st generation was not sold over here in the US, other than I've heard there was 4 that were imported and retrofitted with the Honda spoon motor. And this one here is a 1998. I can't remember the exact year they first started making the Elise, but I think the ones that first came out are old enough to be imported. Now the thing about the 1st generation Elises, they used a Rover engine, not the Toyota engine, and they were very stripped down, very basic. The 2nd generation Elises have a little bit more creature comfort in it. As you can see, there's no radio in this one. Here we have 2 odd looking Lotuses, a Caterham and a Super 7. A little bit racy cars. The Super 7 is right-hand drive, where the Caterham is left-hand drive. And here we have, in atypical British colors, is a Lotus Europa, the British green on it, and the yellow racing stripe. Now these Europas remind me a lot of the El Caminos. It's like seems like a British version of it, but it's actually got an engine in the back, whereas the El Camino's got the truck bed. But it's just the way it's designed. If you look at it from an angle like this, you'd think there's a truck bed in the back of it. Now here we have a very roomy Lotus for a change. A 1974 Lotus Elite. And it looks kind of like a station wagon. It's got some back seats in it. They look pretty roomy. I don't know how much leg room you'd have. It's kind of like a hybrid kind of deal. It seems like a bit of a sports car, a little bit of a station wagon, hatchback, something like that. And here we have a Lotus Evora, the model that came after the Elites. So this is very modern, as you can see. For a Lotus, it's got a lot of creature comforts, a lot of style. I love those seats in it. Oh, this 1951 Lloyd LP 300 really gets my attention. No, this is not a paint job on here. What you're seeing is a car that was covered in vinyl fabric. What do you think of that? I don't know how long it lasts in the elements, but since it's inside, it's well preserved. And I just dig the interior. It's interesting how it goes well with the vinyl on the exterior. And here we have a really cool English car. This looks like a real-life speed racer car. This is a 1959 Tornado Typhoon, and it is powered by an English Ford engine. Obviously right-hand drive because it's made in England. And I really, really love the style of it. It looks straight up like the speed racer car, even though it is not the speed racer car. Now here's something that you wouldn't realize who the manufacturer is. This is a 1958 Vespa 400. Yes, Vespa, the company that you know for making those scooters. They actually made a little economy car. And if you're familiar with the Nissan Figaro, it looks like the top, the convertible top, goes kind of the same way as the Nissan Figaro. This little sports car here is a 1960 Berkeley, and by the shape of the front end, it kind of reminds me of the famous James Bond Aston Martin DB5. It does look like a car James Bond would drive. Now from the looks of it, this 1939 Fiat 508C kind of looks like a Batmobile. Check out the doors on it, suicide doors. I think if Batman was driving a 30s car, this would be it. Here we have a very sleek car for back in its day. This is a 1947 Davis Divian, and it's actually a three-wheeled car. Very aerodynamic shape. Kind of reminds me of a bumper car from the front. Like an adult-sized bumper car. They even have cool little miniature military vehicles at this museum. I'm going to try to pronounce this vehicle. I'm not for sure if I'm going to say it right. It's a 1968 Steyr Pooch Haflinger. What a mouthful. Here we have the fantastic Fiat 500 exhibit. Check all these little Fiats out. Now I've got to say, on this 1970 Fiat, I am really impressed by these wheels. Check out that design. That is just so cool. And did you ever know you could get a Fiat in a pickup truck version? Well, now you do. And not only that, but this little Fiat has a convertible top. So you can get some open air motoring in while you're hauling your items around. This must be the Fiat club car. 2 is a convertible. Here we have a very interesting one that I've never heard of, you've probably never heard of, a 1985 Sam from Poland. The front of it kind of reminds me of the Saab Sonnet a little bit more squished in. Interesting car. You don't hear about cars being made over in Poland. Right behind me is this Citroen 2CV car, and this is the only car in the museum that you can actually hop in and get your picture with. Okay, pals, well, that about does it for my tour. Now, there were so many beautiful random cars, I couldn't just cover them all, but you can come down here to the Lane Motor Museum in Nashville, Tennessee and check them out for yourself. I was here last year for my first time, and this year they have a totally rearranged different. There's a lot of different cars I didn't see before. There's some cars that I did see on the last visit. They also have a vault tour, which on certain days is open to the public. You can go take that. I have not been on the vault tour yet, but that would be interesting to see as well. Well, that does it for this video, but in the YouTube comments below, comment what your favorite vehicle is that you've seen at this museum here in Nashville, Tennessee. I'd like to know.
And these rear wheels are speed developed. So, does it work well? Not really. They make 7 of these prototypes. This is one of the 7. This is most certainly the only one left.
So if you never want to miss another random car video, remember, ring that bell.